day 14, November 5th. That's the first deer I've seen this morning. We've been in the stand probably almost an hour. The spot where I'm hunting is right on the fringe of a bedding area. And the bedding area overlooks the spot where we hunted yesterday evening. It's right over the top of that big and beastie field, and just to the side of the standing corn. Out in front of me is that clover field. So if you remember yesterday's video blog, we're just up the hill this morning, basically hunting those same deer. So the hope is that that with all that activity yesterday, that there must have been a doe that was starting to come into estrus down there in that bottom. And that should ideally be enough to pull Skinny into this area. I think he's living that way, you know, further into the farm. But you never know. We don't necessarily have that deer pegged, you know, 100%. Just the pictures we were getting of him were in that direction primarily. The buck that I almost shot last night, looked at the video a little bit closer on that, and I'm glad that he got away. He probably wasn't quite as big as what I thought. He was a mature buck for sure, but the other one that he was kind of pushing around was the bigger of the two, and that was the one that I had some history with. That deer, if he's around here, I would probably shoot, because again, you know, the history that you have with the deer makes it a little bit more of a personal thing, which makes up sometimes for the size of the antlers, makes them more of a trophy than they would be to somebody else who didn't have any history with that deer. So if he comes by, I'm probably going to shoot, but if the one that came in last night that I was going to shoot comes by, I probably won't shoot. And of course, Skinny is still the primary target, but you know, until we start actually seeing that deer, you know, you're more or less hunting a ghost. You're hunting the idea of a deer. So, you know, I'm not going to necessarily hold out for the whole month of November for that buck, even though I really would like to shoot him. I'm going to start opening up the possibilities a little bit more. There's tons of squirrels here. I mean, I keep looking up because I hear stuff crunching through the leaves. There's got to be 10 squirrels within 75 yards of where I'm sitting right now. Keeps me on my toes. I'm about ready to wrap up here for the morning. We had that one 3-year-old buck go past probably 4 or 5 times this morning. He covered every corner of this little woodlot that we're in. You can see how bucks like that get killed because he was traveling and moving and not paying any attention to anything. So he was pretty much the only show in town other than a couple of fawns that came past. This afternoon, a couple ideas for spots for this afternoon, but I'll have to check the wind and kind of regroup back at the office before we come up with a final plan for the afternoon's hunt. That's it for the morning. Pretty warm right now. As soon as that sun broke through, it warmed up really fast. So we're gonna get back to the office early, get some work done, and then get back out for the evening hunt. For this afternoon's hunt, I'm gonna head back to the same spot that I hunted yesterday evening. And we had a good hunt there. I think there must have been a doe that was starting to come into estrus or something to pull that many bucks into one spot. The fact that there was not a fight tells me that the doe wasn't in estrus, because there would have been a battle when those two mature bucks got together. So hopefully whatever's going on down there continues and more bucks join the party down in that little grassy bottom. It's a fun spot to hunt. It's almost identical conditions to yesterday. Low 70s right now. When you're sweating before you start to walk in, you know it's going to be a pretty warm sit on stand. There's probably no big rush getting back there. Yesterday the action didn't start until about an hour or so roughly before the end of legal shooting time, which is probably pretty typical of these kind of conditions when it's this warm. The cool air settles down into those valleys, and they tend to get a little bit cooler than up on the ridge tops. We noticed that for sure. But either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, it's just a cool spot to sit, and we've worked out the entry and exit route now, so we got a little bit of comfort with this spot, so we should be able to slip in and slip out of there without hopefully bumping any deer. And sometimes that's just the definition of a successful hunt. When you can put your time in and not negatively impact the deer that you're hunting, then it's just a matter of time before eventually the pieces fall into place.
I've got about 45 minutes left, and that buck that came in last night that I called in and tried to shoot, he just popped out on the other end of this grass field, confirming what I thought this morning, and that is that I probably wouldn't shoot that deer given a little bit better chance to look at him and see what he is. I still don't recognize him, though. I don't know him, from past years, which is kind of strange because it just seems like all the bucks that we run into, we've got some kind of history with them. But it could be one that I just didn't recognize, too. We got about, like I said, 45 minutes, so there's plenty of time here. And I'm still hoping that Skinny will make an appearance in this location. It makes a lot of sense that he would show up here. I just feel like there's a hub of activity here with all these different food sources, pretty thick cover. I feel like also the does will go into these areas like this grass field and bed down and hide during the rut. They try to get out of the traditional cover where they get badgered by every buck that goes by, and they find little corners and little secluded spots where they can bed and hide. A lot of times once the rut gets going, you'll see those bucks just bird dogging through these types of spots, trying to kick up any doe that might be bedded in there. It might be a little bit early in the rut for that yet, but this is the kind of spot where that sort of thing happens. I'll show you everything that comes out between now and the end of legal shooting time, and I'm not going to break back in again probably. It's kind of fun just to let the action roll and speak for itself. I'm pretty sure I'll be hunting again tomorrow, so keep checking back. We'll keep bringing you the action right here at Winke's Video Blogs.